Alright, I had a different pair of earrings planned for this, but one of them was broken. Welcome back to my 30 with 30 series. My name is Princess. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're talking about money. This is not the conversation I think you're going to be anticipating. I mean, maybe, you might, but probably not. I'm going to give a little bit of a different take. That's literally the whole point of my series. I think a lot of things are talked about, and I often see my own perspective not represented. But when I have these conversations in person, people are like, I'm onto that. I feel what you're saying. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to offer my perspective. Do with it what you will. Hate it, love it, leave it, whatever. When it comes to money, I always wanted to stay away from it. I'm just as long as I have enough money, that's all I care about. I've never had a super a lot of money personally. I have had times where I've had literally no money, because sometimes life really decides it's gonna test you. I'm currently in a place in life where I have 2 jobs and I make enough money to live pretty much comfortably. It's not like I could charter a yacht at any time soon, but I am very happy with where I'm at. Do I want to be working 2 jobs? No. I want to be getting paid for just being creative and funny and cute and smart, but I get paid to be smart and good at my job. So there's that. When it comes to money, I think oftentimes I don't know. I find a lot of people are like, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want anything, right? And there's lots of money coaches. I am not that. What I am is a person who I think now has a healthy relationship with money, and that has been mostly due to my relationship with God changing, and God being like, all the money's mine. I'm gonna give you everything you need. And if you don't have it, you don't need it. And if you need it, I'm gonna get it to you. Does that mean I'm flippant with my money? No. I still do my best to save. I try to only buy things when they're on sale. Unless it's food. I mean, it's pretty rare that you're gonna find food on sale. And if you do, it's probably gonna expire soon. I have a pretty healthy relationship with money now. One of the things that I think was really transformative for me was when I realized that money is not a big scary thing. I was always really resistant to learning about money. My parents wanted me to start budgeting when I was 16, and I made $50 a year. That simply didn't. I was like, what is the actual point of this, That's my first point. Trying to budget when you don't make enough to even spend or to pay all your bills, or just enough to pay all your bills, is not going to do anything for you. That's my hot take. When you make $1,000 a month and your rent, this is not based in reality, but just for the ease of numbers, if your rent is $600, your phone bill is $100, you're left with $300. That's going to go to gas, that's going to go to food, and that's pretty much what you're going to spend your money on, right? There's no point in budgeting and looking at, this is how much money I don't have. I want to save $50 a month for a trip that I want to go on, but I don't even have 50 cents a month. Budgeting is not going to benefit you in that situation. If you don't make enough, you can't budget yourself into making more money. You can only make more money and then make sure you're not spending all of it. At the core of itself, that's what budgeting is. Make more money, don't spend all of it. You're welcome. I think one of the things that I always used to hate hearing was, and people, I still see it on social media sometimes, people are like, that Starbucks or whatever your coffee that costs $5 a day ends up being $250 a year or $2,500 a year, whatever it is, right? First of all, personally, I've never been that person. The only time I bought food or beverages every single day was when I was in college, And that was because I had to, because I was gone all day, and that was actually the most cost efficient for me. And at the time I was working full time. And so a lot of my money went toward my food because I was either working or I was at school. That was and like gas, right? That was where the majority of my money went. And I do remember at that time, because I lived with my parents still, they were like, where does all your money go? Because they wanted me to pay for something. I don't even know. I can't remember really what the circumstances were, but they were asking me about my money. I was like, I don't have money. And I honestly wasn't making that much. I was making like, girl, I might have made $600 a month. I don't know. It was not that much. And they're like, you're spending all your money on food. And I was like, okay, but like, we don't have food at the house that I can like take with me when I'm gone all day for 16 hours because I have to work and I have to go to school every day. So like, yeah, that's where my money's going. I think after that, things changed a little bit. My parents considered me when they went grocery shopping. So that was cool. So then I didn't have to spend as much, but now I have lived on my own for about 8.5 years, and I buy my own groceries. I actually have some stew cooking right now on the stove, and it's gonna be good. But everything costs money, you know what I mean? So again, if you don't make enough, like budgeting is not really gonna help, but also like being mindful of what you spend is important. But I can't say this enough. If you don't make enough, that like extra $5 or whatever, it might help you pay a bill one day, but it's not going to like drastically change your life. I hate that mindset. I think it's super limiting. I think it's really hard when you don't make a lot of money. Like if you're in college or all you can do is get entry-level jobs, it is very, very hard to make enough money, especially where I live. I live in California. It's very expensive. The gas is expensive. The food's expensive. Don't even get me started on the housing. It's just expensive. There's no way around it. And so really the only way out is to make more money. That's the answer. And honestly, I think the whole like, don't get, I mean, I don't go to Starbucks anyways. So for me, it'd be like, oh, like, don't get boba, like, whatever. It's like, you know, you're wasting your money. First of all, I think that's a stupid thing because for me, like, a little treat is gonna keep me going through the day. I had boba today. I didn't pay for it because my bestie works at a boba place, so she brought me a boba home. So I might not ever have to pay for boba again, at least while she works there. But I'm the kind of person I need a little treat to get by, okay? I have depression. It's never going away. Sometimes it's real high, sometimes it's real low. Regardless though, I need a treat to get through my day. Sometimes I think about, I could spend 48 hours waiting for a little treat. That keeps me going. And then once I get that little treat, it keeps me going. You know, that's just how I work. So I think it's really crappy to shame somebody for like indulging in something that is, first of all, not expensive just because they don't make a lot of money. I should be able to pay my bills, buy groceries, buy gas, and get whatever it is that I feel like I want. If I want to go and buy a new eyeshadow palette, if I want to go and get myself ice cream, if I want to go and get myself boba, if I want to go and do a little shopping spree and spend $50, $100, there's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't feel bad for wanting to spend money on yourself that you earned. There's nothing wrong with that. But people will tell you that it is because they believe these capitalistic lies that you deserve to not make money. If you don't make enough money, that's your fault. It's not. It's because we live in a very capitalistic society. How about, level with me, if instead of blaming poor people for being poor, you actually open your eyes and you go, why is it that there's not enough to go around? Why is it that the people at the top of the company who do the least make the most, and the people who are at the bottom of a company who do the most make the least? And then you look at those people who are at the bottom of the company like there's something wrong with them. why don't you do what you can to lift others up? I don't know. Maybe that's a crazy idea. Maybe that's a crazy idea, but I think that's better than shaming somebody for getting coffee. I think that's more productive. I think lifting another person up is just overall better for life and the economy. There's always like those pay it forward things. I think those are really cool. I consider myself a pretty generous person. I'm not like giving $100 to every homeless person I see on the street. I personally feel convicted to take care of the people that are in my life. And so if I go to lunch with you, it's pretty likely that I'm going to pay. Unless I absolutely can't, or I'm like, nah, they should pay. Sometimes the other person needs to pay. I love giving gifts, and so I'll spend my money on that. I like to get people things that they wouldn't buy for themselves because of this mindset that I can't spend anything on myself, or that makes me lazy, or then I deserve to be in poverty, or that makes me selfish and I deserve to be in poverty, or whatever the case is, whatever lies they've been told and now believe about their spending, when really they just don't make enough money. I like to treat people. I really do. And so I do it when I get the chance. I do it when I have the means to do so. And I also do the same for myself, because I was always taught that I was not worth the investment, that I was not worth spending any extra money, time, care, attention, whatever on. And through therapy and lots of time with God, I have learned that I'm actually worth all of it. And so I treat myself that way. Currently, at this point in my life, the people who are in my life treat me that way. They love me in the ways that they know I need to be loved in order to feel loved. They don't be like, well, you're just gonna have to believe me, even though I never do anything to make you feel loved. I think spending money on people and taking care of people with your resources is something that I find very loving. And so for me, if you have the means to do that and you're in my life and you don't love me. And that's just how it goes. We're only going to be able to go so far if you aren't willing to put any investment into our relationship. And it's not always financial investment. I have other love languages. I also think it's very important to spend time. I'm a big quality time person, so if you can't invest quality time, then you don't actually love me. You might feel obligated to me, but you don't love me. So that's my take on that. Not exactly about money, but I think our money is an indicator of where our investments lie. I know in my life, the things that I invest in physically, monetarily, are the things that I'm also emotionally invested in. I'm spiritually invested in. There is a direct correlation. And most money managers or money coaches or financial people will tell you the same thing. Where you invest your money, you invest your heart, your emotions, your mind. They're directly correlated. Don't know what else to tell you. Like I said, I'm not rich. I make enough to not have to worry if my bills are getting paid, but not if I stop working. To be so honest, I definitely have to work for my bills to be paid. But one of the things that I always find interesting is when people ask you about something, and we'll take insurance for an example, like health insurance, which is so expensive because I live in America. This actually happened recently. I have an injury that's healing, and it's healing well, but it's just going to take a while because it was a pretty bad injury, and things take time to heal. And I was talking to some of my friends, and they were like, well, did you go to the doctor? And I was like, no, I don't have insurance, so I'm not going to go to the doctor. And also, I'm not going to go to the doctor when I can literally feel what's going on in that injury, and they're going to be like, okay, well, make sure you just don't put too much strain on it, and make sure you're stretching that part of your body. I know enough about the body and my body to where I'm unless I'm really having an emergency, like I'm not gonna waste my time and money going to the doctor if I don't have insurance. And they were like, well, why don't you have insurance? Like, don't you have 2 jobs? And I was like, yep. And neither of them provide me insurance because that's just how it goes. And I'm not going to get into it because I will get so annoyed. One of those jobs I do work full time at, but I still don't qualify for insurance. And I could buy it. I could pay for insurance every month, but then I'm spending an extra like $200 something a month on something that isn't even really great coverage, and I did the math and it didn't add up, so I don't have insurance. All that to say, when somebody tells you that they don't have, let's say, insurance, or they don't have the money in their budget, or they can't afford something, the proper response is not to question why or to assume that they are just like being flippant with their money. The proper response would be something like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do to help you? I know that's crazy, helping another person. We as a society are so selfish that when somebody needs help, our first inclination is you should help yourself. Which I think by definition doesn't actually make sense, because help requires 2 entities and self is one. So with that being said, I hope that by the end of this video you have learned that it's not always your fault that you don't have money, and sometimes it is. I've known way too many people who are like, I never have money. And then I see them at Disneyland and they have, be honest. It's not that you don't have money. You just want to spend your money at Disneyland. That's another thing. It's like, why can't you just be honest? Just be honest. It's interesting. I feel like the people who genuinely don't make enough money, it's very rare to see people who don't make enough money be like, I don't have enough money, because it's like a shame thing. They feel ashamed because society tells us if we don't make enough money, that's our own fault. What I do see is people who do have enough money be like, oh, I can't afford that, or that's not my budget. No, you do have enough money. You just don't want to spend it on whatever that thing is. You want to spend it on Disneyland or whatever your Disneyland is. I hope that if you don't make enough money to pay your bills, buy groceries, buy gas, and get yourself a little treat, that you feel a little bit of camaraderie, that you know that I get it. I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. I would love to encourage you, and in that it's not your fault if you don't make enough money. This world is really hard to live in, and depending on where you live, it gets even harder financially. I'm only able to have the life that I do because I do work 60 plus hours a week, and I have a roommate who's my best friend, and I'm like super grateful for that. People assume that, I don't know, people assume all kinds of things. And if you don't make enough money, I don't want you to take on that identity of like, well, it's my fault that I don't make enough money. I need to save more. I need to budget better. The companies need to be paying people better. Point blank, period. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. So go easy on yourself. Understand that I think there's, I don't know the statistic, but there's some statistic that like, I think it's like something like 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, which is crazy to me because everybody loves to act like they don't. And then it's like the people who don't make enough money are like, oh, well, I live paycheck to paycheck. That I must, oh my God, it must be my fault. And it's, again, it's not your fault. It's because you live in a super capitalistic society. Anyways, thanks for coming to my third video of my 30 for 30 series. I hope you learned something. I hope that you come back next time and you can like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel and this video. you can share this video, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, well, see you tomorrow. I'm gonna make some toast. You want some?
Hell yeah, I want some toast.